pero para esta intervención quería llamar a antiguos alumnos de escuelas de dirección hotelera, particularmente bueno, voy a llamar a Duarte González da Cunha, que es antiguo alumno del Marbella, General Manager de Hacienda Zorita, Wine Hotel and Spa. Bienvenido, Duarte. También a Jorge Lepe, antiguo alumno del Ross, General Manager Novotel Bilbao. Y también Stanislas Hello, antiguo alumno de Glion Institute of Higher Education, que es Market Manager Spain and Dubai at Luxury Retreats. Sí. Bueno, un aplauso para ellos, ¿no? Sí. Buenas tardes a todos. No voy a hablar sobre vosotros porque creo que la idea es realmente que habléis un poco de vuestra experiencia, pero quizás voy a empezar con Duarte porque creo que venías con un vídeo y una pequeña presentación.
No, pero seguimos con
este formato.
Sí, sin problema, bueno, que es más agradable.
Aún así, ¿te ha tocado? Entonces, vale. Duarte, pues, realmente pues, saber un poco de tu carrera, ¿no?
Pues, como muchos, he empezado en hostelería por un acaso. ¿En español o en inglés? Well, I started by accident in hospitality. I started off in the school in Estoril, in Cascais, where Lydia was mentioning before, by accident. All I wanted to do was to be a tennis player. The tennis club was right next door to the school, and so I started as in a 3-year education as a bartender and a waiter. My first job was at 14 years old, being a pool boy at a family hotel. Things kind of developed. I graduated from high school that involved this technical course as well. I tried my luck in business administration. I failed miserably. And then Le Roche came in. I came in here, I believe, the year 2001. And since then, for the following 10 years, I remember the first month I went home and I told my parents I'll probably never be back, so I'll come and visit every 6 months. And that's what happened. So in the following 10 years, in companies like Marriott, like Aman Resorts, small luxury hotels, both in Portugal and now in Spain, a country club in the US. So for 10 years, I've lived in 10 different countries, and so I've only came back to Spain about 3 years ago, where I was working as well here in Finca Cortesín for 1 year, where I finally came and found my place in Hacienda Zorita. The interesting thing was that what I want to mention is that opportunities, they come and go. Failure is just another step in the way, so you constantly, your expectations, they don't always happen. So, but the important thing is to understand that it's all a journey and it's all part of the process, so you can arrive to the place where you want to go. You will probably never arrive to that place because there's always something more coming into the way, and so that's a little bit of what I've been doing. The most important part of it, I think, was obviously with Aman, and you were talking about challenges. Even though I stayed in the same company for 5 years, I lived in and worked in 4 completely different destinations: Morocco, Indonesia, the Philippines, and finally in Montenegro. So what I was looking for was always for new things, and so the way that they kept me motivated was always to tell me, well, you did 1 year here, now you're going there, you have a new project, and after that you're going there, you have a new project, and after that you're going there, you have a new project. From the moment when I asked them what am I going to do next, and they said, well, I don't have nothing for you, this is where I changed company and I went into a different challenge back in Portugal. And so kind of putting my experience in the context of what we're talking about here, I think this is a little bit of what I can add.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Duarte.
Yeah.
Move to you, Jorge.
Well, I also started my career in hospitality by coincidence. I mean, I must say that I was very good at school when I was in high school. but my father insisted on me doing a degree or getting a diploma or university studies. So I started studying tourism in Seville. After the first year, he realized that I was doing very well, and actually I liked it very much. So I had the opportunity to come to study here in Les Roches. I was lucky to be, lucky at some point to be one of the pioneers. So I was one of the first promotion of the school back in 1995, when actually the school didn't even exist.
Yes.
We were still at the Pier Hotel in Marbella, in Puerto Banús. A little bit overcrowded, but we were not that many people, so we were about 30 people on the first promotion. I then decided to finish off in Blush, in the sister school, where I was also actually one of the pioneers to attend the diploma in the two different countries, in two different schools. Then I moved back to London, started working for Starwood, spent 5 years there. As Duarte was saying, I haven't actually worked in that many different places. I have 20 years experience so far, and I've only worked for 2 different companies. But one of the things I value as well is that I've been able to move to different places, to different hotels, and always having a new challenge that I was looking forward to. Actually, more or less happened the same to me when after 5 years in London, when I didn't see my next movement. I decided that it was time to change, and I came back to Spain, started working for Accor Hotels, Novotel, at that time in Seville, as a front office manager, and then moved to Malaga, which I came back to school a few years ago as well, to do a little presentation. I went back to Novotel Malaga as a GM. That was my first role, and I've been a GM for the last 10 years. So I haven't moved that much, but working for these international companies that I really feel confident with has made me value my career a lot. As he was saying as well, I mean, we were talking about talent, and as we were talking about retention, even though we didn't want to say retention. I've been retained. I mean, I must say, I've been 14 years in the same company. So somehow I've been seduced, fidelized, call it whatever you want to, but I've been with the same company for 14 years. And to be honest, nowadays I don't really know what they've done to retain me. But I've said that I've been treated fair. I mean, there was a lot of fairness. I've been given opportunities. I've been promoted. I've been treated equally to different people. And I've actually had the opportunity to grow, which for me at that time, it was one of the most important things.
Thank you very much, Jorge, for your stand, right?
Yes.
How are you?
Very good, and you?
Welcome to Marbella.
Thank you. So my path is a little bit different. Funny enough, my father's a doctor, grandfather's a doctor, and my great-great-father's a doctor. And my sister and I, we decided to do hotels. So they're very happy, actually, for us. But the funny thing, I didn't fall in by mistake. I simply really wanted it when I was a kid. So I was following my father to his different dinners, different events organized by pharmaceutical companies. And I was the little annoying kid telling Dad, this guy is not shaved. Why is this thing different? And they were thinking that I either have like some weird mental problem or really like hospitality. So once when we went to travel, we went to do some tour of hotel schools in Switzerland, and I simply fell in love. I was 17 years old, and by 18, I was already in Glion in Switzerland studying hotel management. And a year after, well, my sister joined me. So yeah, so the family business of having doctors, it's completely done and finished. But when I started, my idea, I was extremely stubborn by then. Now I'm a little bit less. But the idea was to not really choose the easiest way out. So I decided, as soon as I finished school, was to choose to go to New York. Because like the song said, if you can make it there, you can make it everywhere. It's totally true. At the last year, the school, I'm sure you do the same thing here, the school helps you with bringing Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, different companies from all over the world to do interviews with the students. And when you start the last semester, you have to choose the 3 top cities where you want to work. And because I was extremely stubborn, I wrote New York, New York, New York. So my choices of working anywhere in the world went from this to completely this, because there was so many companies that would not take anybody to New York. They would send them to Asia. Dubai was very trendy 10 years ago. Different places in Europe. So my choice went really, really small. But that's the only places I wanted to go. So I was pretty lucky to get the job that I wanted, and the hotel that I wanted, and the city that I wanted. And it was the most difficult, gruesome job I've ever had, especially I got there at the age of 22. Never worked in my life besides a couple of small internships. Never been to New York, and my English wasn't that good. Even though I studied and graduated in English, wasn't that good. So I went there as a kid, as a student, and 2 years after when I left, I became a proper hotelier. I knew how to dress, how to speak to people, how to, well, do my business in the world of hospitality. So right after New York, I decided, because it worked so well, I need a proper transition back to Europe, but it had to be something close to New York, the mentality-wise. So the closest one was London. So I decided to go to London, and my idea was to continue growing in a completely different company and different positions. I did it on purpose. So it's not that easy for me, so I can learn a little bit differently. So I went to London, worked in a different company, stayed a couple of years, and then I went to Crete. I went to a Greek island, never spoke Greek in my life, never been to Greece, but I decided, okay, there's a new hotel opening, they need some help in the operations. Yeah, let's do it, it's fine. And also, it was very difficult explaining to people that don't speak my language, or me not speaking their language, how to do their job. So I was the small young guy who just got there with a small tan, telling people twice my age how to do their jobs. So that was very difficult as well. And then I decided to move back to Barcelona, where I did my internship, one of the first internship I did, and I worked at the Ritz-Carlton as director of events. And the same thing, I stayed 2 years, and I wanted afterwards to go to Asia, because that was, well, the next step. I did Middle East, the States, Europe. I was like, oh, this is the next step. But then I got to a time of my life where, okay, I traveled, I learned a lot. I like Barcelona. I cannot say I reached to a certain age because I'm still pretty young, but I reached a part of my life where I needed a little bit of more of a balance. So I decided to search something in Barcelona, something with what I learned, hospitality, customer service, luxury business, but that would fit a little bit more my lifestyle. I'm not a type of person that is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and I decided searching online, doing my research. I use LinkedIn even more than any other social media, and I was approached by luxury retreats. For those who don't know luxury retreats, I'm sure some of the hoteliers are gonna grind their teeth. We're the Airbnb of luxury, so I'm sorry for that. What we do is we rent luxury villas around the world, but we provide a service that hotels provide: reservation, concierge, 24/7, customer service. You want a 3-star Michelin restaurant preparing you breakfast in 3 days, we can find it as long as you pay it for sure. So that's what we provide. The company is based in Montreal, but I did everything I could to move the position to me. I didn't want to go to very cold Montreal at minus 25 degrees in January. I wanted the position in Barcelona. So I tried my way of doing the opposite, headhunting myself to the CEO of the company. I bothered him on LinkedIn, called the office, sent gifts, sent cards, enormous ones with my CV on it, to get his attention. And finally, I got his attention. And a couple days after, I got interviewed by him in Florence for just a couple hours. So I had 2 hours, like the elevator pitch of 30 seconds in elevator to sell your idea. I had 2 hours to actually sell myself, of not only working for him, but moving the position from Montreal to Barcelona. That was pretty much a joke to somebody in a CEO position. And after lots of blah blah, I was able to do it. And I've been working for luxury retreats for the past 2 years and a half. Now I'm market manager. I take care of the property development, so signing new properties, for Spain and opening the market of Dubai. Everything is rental, everything's short-term rental, so this is pretty much my path to getting where I always wanted to do. My own time, I don't have to work Monday to Friday. I'm technically paid and I'm here, but I would technically work 7 days a week, but I usually don't work more than 5 hours, so it's pretty much the same hours, but within. It's a company that pushes you to simply work the way you want and don't simply oblige you suit and tie, you're shaved, it's 9 to 5. People go to the office with their dogs, with their baby, they don't want to work. I have an assistant that works with me for the past year and a half. I've never seen her, and I've been to Montreal 6 times because she works from home. She simply doesn't want to go to the office. So that's a little bit, now in 2017, how I believe that you have to treat the staff. It, of course, is difficult in hotels where you need staff on site. We don't have staff on site. With 305 employees, absolutely no one is on site doing the services because we work with companies that take care of that. But on our side, on the company side, is treating the employees the way they want. There's some people have concentration problems. They cannot concentrate more than 2 hours in a row. Perfect, there's no problem. We have a gym, we have a pool, we have a baby food, we have anything they want. You know, so they can come to work at 10 in the morning because they're not morning person, or they can come at 12 and stay until 10 p.m. So it's a little bit more relaxed. It's people go there in flip-flops and shorts the way they want so they can concentrate on the work. And we can see the difference because everybody's happy, nobody's leaving. So for me, this is the retention. Of course, it's much easier in a company where I work. Nobody's leaving. So people are excited to work there. People are happy to go to work. Every time I go there, I'm extremely happy. And this is completely different than any other company, let's say.
Thank you very much. I think you did mention that obviously this is not very easy for hotels, and I wanted to ask Natalia or even Juan or Daniel, do you see this type of, or is this something that people are asking more and more, and obviously it is very incompatible with hospitality and operations?
It's a difficult question, okay?
Yeah.
He says about emotional salary, no? Emotional salary to be happy. And this is very difficult, no? Because the hospitality industry needs people that give time to the work, no? For the client.
Of course.
Or not. We are working for the client.
Yeah, so
it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. This is the way. No, this is the way.
How about in Randstad? ¿Encontráis este tipo de peticiones?
Sí, como comenta Natalia, es muy difícil en el sector de hostelería, en los hoteles. El perfil que nosotros tenemos es housekeeping, ¿no? O sea, es una señora que va a hacer las camas o un recepcionista, entonces sí que tiene que estar unas horas en el hotel y además se miden por una productividad, ¿no? Los KPIs para ser rentable. Entonces creo que la forma de fidelizar va más con salario emocional o cómo trates a esta persona. Hay posiciones que no es tan fácil.
Que no es tan fácil.
The objective is to have this, and it's necessary that human resource and the company works in this way.
With both.
No? To have people are happy, no?
Yeah.
Are happy and compromise with the company. It's not only this.
Of course,
it's not only
there's
this.
many other things. Stan, you did mention that you went to Greece and you had to boss around people that were twice your age. And this was a question that was asked on the first day. You know, how the new generation that's coming in is clashing or integrating with the new generation. So what is, I would even ask Duarte or Jorge, you know, how was the integration of you in the industry, coming from a hotel school and having to boss around maybe people that are twice your age or have double your experience in the position that you are? How did you face that?
I think I was lucky enough to start from the bottom. I mean, I've always said that La Roche opens you all the doors in the world, but then you have to make your way up. I mean, I didn't start as a supervisor or anything. I started as a receptionist. So for the first year and a half, I didn't have to face that problem. And then when I started in London, London is a different market. It's a very young market where people coming from hotel schools. So really, I didn't have to face that situation. I came a little bit later when I actually became a GM, and then you do face people that are 10, 15 years older than you, and you have to sort of boss around them or tell them how to do the things. It's not easy, I must say. I think we all agree on that. But I think what we've always said is a matter of attitude, and it's on how you communicate to them and how you actually explain to them why you want things differently. And obviously, for me, it's always been very important that they see the results of that. I mean, okay, we're going to do this change, we're going to work this way now, but on the long term or on the short term or mid-term or whatever it is, you're going to see what the results are and why is it easier or why is it better to work this way. But I think it's communicating is priority.
And Duarte, you face that in, as you said, in different countries, no? So even in different languages, no? How was that?
Well, depending on the culture, you have to. It's different to approach a Moroccan than to approach an Indonesian from Java, for example. But I think the main thing is to demonstrate on a daily basis that you're not doing this because you are younger, smarter, and came from a good school. You're doing this to improve the people that are under you. And so not all of them will understand. Most of them will. Some will take longer, some will take a shorter amount of time. Many different occasions it happened, but you have to deal with it in a. There's no exact science to do it. My first GM position came at 29 years old in Portugal, and so it was very difficult to make sure that the Michelin star executive chef listened to me on how I want the table to be set and the service to go on. So, but in the end, it took me 2 years, but I got there and we got the star. And so, but there was a lot of confrontation. But what needs to, what I feel that the idea that has to go through is that the objective is this and the purpose is this. Even though we have two different ways of doing it, let's slowly and little by little kind of get our lines of action closer and closer together. And it's not, it doesn't happen from one day to the next. With some people it will take longer, some people are more willing to learn, and others are not. And in the end, we have to be a little bit pragmatic. And for the older people in the market, this is where you want to stay. Fantastic. I'm not staying here. I'm moving forward. The company is moving forward with me. And so in that sense, I mean, there's not one way to do it. And every single case, every different culture, every single people will have different ways to deal with it. And you as a leader, you will fail with some people and you will succeed with others. And so obviously there's no blame on one side or the other. It's very complicated to explain, but I think it has to work on a case-to-case basis, yeah.
Juan, I have a question for you in terms of interviewing candidates. You know, what are you looking for and what are you finding, but more in a positive way? That, you know, what are candidates surprising you in? I don't know if I made my question clear, but, you know, sometimes you interview people and say, wow, you know, I didn't expect that. Is there anything that you'd like to point out that new generation of candidates are bringing in?
I'm trying to think because, you know, take into account that by the time I interview candidates, they have gone through so many filters. Okay, so you know, when I get to see them, because we might consider for one position 100 candidates that will funnel down probably to 50, then they would do interviews for 30 of them, and I might interview 20 of them just to show my clients, you know, a short list between 3 and 8 people, and then, you know, it would end up being one candidate. So he or she will probably have gone through all the checks that this person would be meeting all the requirements that we're looking for. So most of the time, and of course, we check all the academic background in terms of the different positions, what are the tasks, what are the achievements, and ideally I would ask them to show me KPIs of, they have been producing an impact in their environment, and also the reporting lines, the type of teams, that they have been managing. But it really, I think when we get at value really is when we go into the more of a personal fit interview and checking whether that person has that candidate would have the personal characteristics that are being sought by my client, in terms of attitude, in terms of willingness to do the extra mile, in terms sometime of, you face them with situations of conflict and you would see the degree of, moral and ethics. And sometimes you're shocked that, some people might be very, very valid in their, technical skills, and they have taken their MBAs in XYZ, and they speak so many languages. But then when you confront them with some issues that they will have to face, again, we're talking of a chief people officer, of a marketing officer, as a CFO, CEO, that's the type of interviews I do, or N-1. There's some people that, makes it very evident that there's going to be a culture clash with my client. So in paper, they look very good, but when you have that type of conversation, say, it's not going to work. And it's bad, because probably you might have, it's going to be one of the 8 after 100 people you have considered. That's a lot of work. I mean, our job is very much of a boutique, very time intensive. Or when you're looking for a specific spark, someone that would shock you with some idea of something that he or she has done in the past. So again, it might happen that some of the candidates you would see in papers like, and then you interview the person and say, oh, this is the lady, this is the guy, this is the perfect candidate. And when you have a good relation with your corporate client, I look at the eye of my client, and we know exactly what he or she, my client, is looking for. So, when I turn around and I talk to my candidates, I say, oh, she's the one they're looking for. And then you can even bet that she or he is going to do it very nicely. But I would say that in our job, which is, again, very boutique and detailed, is much more of the personal touch. And also, if you wish, also with the references, that's a very, very important part. And some of candidates say, like, you are asking me for 9 people, like 3 bosses, 3 partners, 3 peers, 3 subordinates. I say yes, because I want to choose the ones I'm going to be calling to. We make 1 call, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we see something strange, I pull the rope and I make another call, and then I make another call. And if we find something that is not acceptable by our code of ethics in Talengo, or we have explicit explanation from our client what is not acceptable, we put it on the table, and it's bad news. But that's my obligation with my client, and the client decides. Sometimes the client decides like, well, it's okay, because it probably is not a deal breaker, but that's our obligation. And also the digital imprint report, that is something that shocks you, how people that are supposed to be very careful with what they do with their, talking in public, publishing in social media, they do stupid things that you could not imagine. But I will share it in private, not here. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. We're almost finishing. I will give a moment to the audience if anybody wanted to ask anything. But before I do so, since all of you worked in different countries, different roles, you've had relationships with HR. Anybody could answer, but what is your opinion with what's happening with HR in Spain compared to the rest of the world? And in particular, there is also a talk about a lot of talent is not staying in Spain, but is actually going out. So I don't know if you have anything specific to say about that.
I think in Spain it's necessary to work with universities, with the schools and centers that give us the talent that we need, and to work together. It's very necessary that they understand that the companies needs, and the companies explain that we need, the talent needs in the companies, and to work together and developing the talent that the companies needs in the present and the future. And in other countries work this way very good. This is my opinion.
I could give you. I'm very optimistic in the sense that traditionally, when you would talk to HR people, some of them they would live in their bubble, kind of isolated from the business. And the evolution in the last few years, what I've seen is, the HR people, they hang out much more with business people. They ask for rotations, and for a while they work in marketing, sales. I always tell my HR colleagues, you got to go and talk to your clients. To the clients of your company, you go down to the ground. Many of them are being trained in areas like, coaching and some areas of development. So I'm very positive because I see they're having much of a broader view, and they're getting closer to the real business. So I'm very happy with the things I've seen.
With the evolution.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for. A round of applause for our speakers. Thank you very much for the time.